Oklahoma might be one of the strangest states in the country when you look at the numbers. It's the 20th largest state by area, but only the 28th largest state when it comes to population, which means for the landmass size we have, it's kind of weirdly empty. But here's a real kicker. Out of roughly 4 million people that live in the state of Oklahoma, roughly 2.5 million of those live in the two metros of Oklahoma City and Tulsa, which means about 2/3 of the entire state's population lives on only about 10% of the land. And the other 90% of the land? Pretty much just small towns and wide open space. But it looks even stranger if you compare Oklahoma to states that are even smaller in size, like, I don't know, take for instance North Carolina or Georgia. If we had a population density similar to those states, we wouldn't just have 4 million people here, it'd be closer to like 13 million. And even just directly south of us, if you look at Texas, which is obviously a much bigger state by land, we would have closer to like 8 million people. I mean, the Dallas-Fort Worth metro alone has nearly twice the population of the entire state of Oklahoma. So the real question isn't, why does Texas have so many people? It's, why does Oklahoma have so few? And what's happened here to keep so much of Oklahoma so empty? Because honestly, the answer is way more interesting than most people expect. What's up guys, I'm Jonathan Knight, and on this channel I talk about all things Oklahoma City and all the surrounding suburbs. And today we're breaking down the reasons why Oklahoma has such a surprisingly low population, even when compared to states the same size. But first, if you're thinking of moving to the Oklahoma City area, whether it's in the next few weeks or few months from now, listen guys, I would love the opportunity to help make a smooth move right here to OKC. So you're gonna find my contact information right down in the description, so please feel free to shoot me a call, a text, or an email, or even better, click the link below to schedule a one-on-one video call with me, or you can simply scan the QR code on the screen so that hopefully we can have a conversation about helping you buy that perfect home right here in OKC. Okay, so most of you may know this already, but before Oklahoma ever was a state, most of the land here was actually designated as Indian Territory. This was the destination for the forced relocation of multiple native tribes that we now refer to as the Trail of Tears. And this was, of course, a devastating and deeply painful chapter in our American and Oklahoma history. So it's worth recognizing that, even though in this video we won't be doing a deep dive into that. But what matters for today's topic is this: because so much of Oklahoma was legally reserved as native territories for so long, it wasn't actually open to broad non-native settlement until much later than the states surrounding it. So that means that Texas, Arkansas, Missouri, they all had anywhere from 50 to 100 years of settlement prior to Oklahoma even becoming a state. And that means their cities were growing, their economy was developing, and their infrastructure was being built at a time that Oklahoma wasn't even a thing yet. So by the time that Oklahoma became a state in 1907, the surrounding states had already kind of exploded in population growth, and we really just had a late start. We never really have got the chance to catch up. But that's only one of the reasons that Oklahoma lags behind in population. So fast forward just a few decades later, when Oklahoma was starting to gain some momentum with population growth, the Dust Bowl hit. Now you may have read about the Dust Bowl, and Oklahoma wasn't the only state hit. There were surrounding states that were affected as well, but Oklahoma was absolutely one of the states that were hit the hardest. So in the 1930s, some experts estimate over 400,000 Oklahoma residents fled the state, which amounts to like 1 in 5 people. And this state saw entire communities in western Oklahoma pretty much completely vanish, seemingly overnight, and in the Panhandle as well. Massive population drops. And many of those areas never really fully recovered. I mean, I've been to the Panhandle of Oklahoma a couple of times, and it's pretty desolate out there. The last estimate I saw, only around 30,000 people live in the entire Panhandle. Now, obviously, states that didn't experience a Dust Bowl or weren't affected to the same degree as Oklahoma, well, they just kept growing. And well, here in Oklahoma, this state had to rebuild socially, economically, demographically, and that kind of thing takes decades. So as you can imagine, that absolutely stunted the population growth here compared to our surrounding states. So after the Dust Bowl, Oklahoma did eventually stabilize, but it stabilized in a very specific pattern. We definitely didn't develop multiple huge population centers like a lot of other states did. We were pretty much left with 2 major metros. That's the Oklahoma City metro, of course, where I live, and the Tulsa metro. Everything else from there drops off pretty hard. There are a couple other decent sized towns for sure, and lots of small towns, but where many states have several hugely populated metropolitan areas, we just have those too. And in a lot of those states, like North Carolina or Georgia or Texas, they've got multiple big cities, 1 or 2 that attract lots of people, and another couple of cities that will attract multiple industries. So it's definitely just a lot easier to have exponential population growth when those are the dynamics you're working with. Now, to be clear, that's not a negative here in Oklahoma. It's just a little bit of a different developmental path. And it definitely explains why so much of the state can feel pretty empty to a lot of people coming to Oklahoma. Population isn't just about history, it's about geography and development patterns as well. And a reality that we are well aware of here in Oklahoma is that Oklahoma is landlocked. We definitely don't have any coastal ports, no international trade gateways, no early shipping or rail mega hubs like Houston, St. Louis, or New Orleans. Instead, our early economies were built around oil and gas agriculture, and ranching, all industries that require land, not density. And what you're left with is a state that has a lot of small towns that naturally settled far apart. And again, this isn't good or bad. It's really just an explanation why Oklahoma feels so wide open once you leave the metropolitan areas of Oklahoma City and Tulsa, even today. Now here's sort of the twist that a lot of people didn't see coming, and that's all the things that have kept Oklahoma's population relatively low are now often cited as major reasons why people are moving here, and especially to Oklahoma City and the ever-sprawling surrounding areas. Over the last decade or so, Oklahoma City has definitely hit this sort of sweet spot where it's big enough to offer opportunity, but small enough that it still stays affordable, and still, especially right outside of the Oklahoma City metro, stays spread out enough, at least by comparison to other cities. It's very appealing to a lot of people. And we definitely are seeing pretty explosive growth in some of the Oklahoma City suburbs like Edmond and even Yukon and Mustang, but really because there's so much room to actually grow outside of the metro, everything is sort of just sprawling rather than sort of getting really compact and dense inside the city. We're also seeing tech companies quietly expanding their footprint, the aerospace industry continuing to grow here because of Tinker Air Force Base, and we're seeing a lot more college graduates and young professionals deciding to stay here in Oklahoma City rather than leave the state. And we've absolutely seen a vibrant urban core growing in the areas of downtown and midtown, Automobile Alley, Bricktown, Scissorsdale Park, and even walkable communities near the downtown area like the Wheeler District. Oklahoma City is definitely becoming a place people are coming to because it isn't overcrowded and because you can actually afford a home here. And in my opinion, the quality of life to cost ratio is pretty unbeatable. So from my perspective, the history and the geography really does explain why Oklahoma has stayed small from a population perspective. But what we're seeing here in the city today definitely explains why we continue to see Oklahoma City grow and why it's being put on so many people's radar. So if you're curious how all of this feels actually here on the ground from somebody who actually has lived here their whole life, not just the history, but what it's like actually to live here day to day, you should definitely come with me to check out this video right here. And as always guys, until next time, I certainly hope to see you soon. See ya.